Hey everybody, welcome to the 13th and final seminar in our Light Tackle Marathon. Remember guys, tomorrow, April 11th, is going to be our big light tackle sales event. All your light tackle fishing gear is going to be on sale. You're going to get a deeper discount if you come in to trade a working rod or reel. We're also going to have a parking lot party with barbecue, kids games and prizes, all that fun stuff. So make sure you come on by, guys, and take advantage of this great event. So for today, I am here with Frank Garcia from Zman, and we're going to talk a little bit about selecting the right profile, color selection, paddle tails versus straight tails, and then some rigging tips for Zman. So Frank, I'll let you introduce yourself, tell the people a little bit about Zman, and we'll get right into some fishing tips.
How you guys doing? I'm Frank Garcia. I'm the Zman rep in Maryland. Zman started, I think it's 25 years ago. Started out, they were actually making skirts, bulk skirts for companies like Strike King. And then they started getting into chatterbaits and a couple other things, and they started making elastic. Started with the Ned rig, and it really expanded from there. And I think they do a great fact about Zman is 60 to 70% of their business is non-elastic sales. So it's jig heads, spinner baits, other things. So they have a lot more than just the elastic that you guys are used to.
Absolutely. And yeah, I know a lot of people, at least here in the Chesapeake Bay, they think Zman, they're thinking these paddle tails right here. But as you said, they chatterbaits, jig heads, spinner baits, Ned rig baits, whole bunch of other stuff. But what we are talking today is Elastec plastic, specifically for the Bay. I know we grabbed a bunch of paddle tails here. They do make a 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7-inch paddle tail. So I'm hoping, Frank, you could tell us a little bit about what situation you would throw a 3 versus a 4 versus a 5 versus a 6 versus 7.
Obviously, the main thing is matching the hatch, right? Mm-hmm. Matching the hatch is huge. I feel like also pressure. So if the fish are being pressured more, downsizing your bait will get you more bites, that's for sure. You guys, June, July, I remember fishing on LJ's boat one time, and we crushed them on 3 inches. Like little schoolies, but we caught hundreds of them. And I feel like if you have to have multiple sizes in a day. If you aren't catching as many as you think, or someone's catching them on one size, I would definitely go down or up a size also. Like, do not just stick with the 5-inch because it's always worked for you. Put on a 4, put on a 6 for a couple casts. See if it works. Like, you should definitely have multiple sizes with the right hook also. Make sure that hook is the right size for that bait. Do not use an 8-odd diesel minnow on a 5-inch. You want that 8-odd just for the 7 inches and 6-odd for the 6 inches. And we actually have we have 2 sizes in the diesel eyes. We have the 8-odd and the 6-odd. So the 6-odd hook goes with the 5-inch.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there. There's no one size fits all when it comes to paddle tails. People come in asking us all the time. They say, I just want to get one pack, but it's not always that easy. Just like you said, I mean, there could be days where the 3-inch, like you said, on LJ's boat is tearing them up. But while that's going on, somebody might put on a 5-inch and start catching them every single cast. Mm-hmm. So you never know exactly what is going to be going on. The other thing, you talk about matching the hatch. I'm wondering if you could share a little bit more about that, sort of what those fish are eating and what these paddle tails are representing.
Absolutely. So bunker, Manhattan, I feel like is huge. Part of the Bay. You guys got spot, and whether it's white perch, I mean, you have a ton of forage in this bay. Mm-hmm. So that's why switching up, if you're going spot to spot and you're 100 yards away, it could be a totally different fish that they're keying on. So that's why you just don't want to stick with just the 5-inch because it's always worked. The spot could be bigger at that time, so you want to switch it to the 6 or the 7. Or if bunker are in there and they're the peanut bunker, that's when you want to try something like the diesel kicker. It has a wider profile this way. So just basically what I'm saying is I would just not stick to what was worked before. Just change it up if you're not catching.
For sure.
If with tactical angle clip, like it takes seconds to switch. So
Exactly.
why not?
Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit of a different profile plastic and style of plastic compared to the paddle tails and the diesel kickers there. What about straight tails? I know Z-Man makes the Shrieks, the scented Shriek, or the scented Jerk Shads, the Shrieks XL. When would you throw a straight tail versus a paddle tail?
So for the bay specifically, current is huge, right? Whether you're fishing the power plant where you have ridiculous current, or you're fishing just an outgoing tide or an incoming tide. If you want your bait to stay down there and you want to stay in the strike zone if they're sitting on the bottom, your straight tail will not scope out anywhere near as like your diesel minnow will. So when you're using a straight tail, you're either snap jigging it, right? But what it also does, it will not, if you're just reeling it in slow, it will stay down in that water column a lot better than the diesel minnow will.
For sure.
And in the same sense, talking about diesel minnows, if you have it on a chatterbait, let's say, right, and you're snakehead fishing, and the snakeheads are higher up, or you're fishing, you want to fish over the top of the weeds, you put that diesel minnow on a chatterbait, that paddle tail is going to make it rise higher. If you don't want it to rise higher, you want to fish that chatterbait in a lower water column, that's when you want to use a straight tail on the back of this thing. So take that same concept, putting in for stripers, rockfish, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
You want to fish the same thing. So if you are fishing heavy current and you want to stay down in that water column, that's when a straight tail will outperform 10 to 1 than a paddle tail.
For sure, for sure. And also deeper water too. Like you said, like you mentioned about the paddle tail scoping out, if you're fishing, 40, 50, 60 foot of water for those rockfish, sometimes a straight tail can be the better option.
Absolutely. And to go off of that, just like how you have different sizes in baits, you really need different sizes in heads. Heads is huge in even when you go from 5/8 to a half ounce, that little bit of a 1/8 change is huge when it comes to, that could make or break your day, 100%.
100%,
so,
yeah.
Again, you can't just come in and just buy one. As much as I would love for you to buy 100, but like make sure you have the right jig heads and a variety of them, because you're going to need them. You're going to need them, all of them, in a whole day of fishing.
100%, and that's what I tell people too. They come in, they say, "Oh man, I just want a pack of jig heads or a couple, or what jig heads are they using out there?" Sometimes people will say, "Well, I say, well, when I go out on the water, I have a 1/4 ounce, half ounce, 5/8, 3/4 ounce, ounce and a half, like all the way up to 2 or even 3 ounces at every increment that you can buy, because like you said, that little 1/8 of an ounce can make a difference. It can slow down your fall. It can get you to the bottom. It can do all these things that would improve your chance of hooking up."
Absolutely, and you can pre-rig them. You just pre-rig them. Mm-hmm. Take your favorite color, pre-rig them each size, and again, tackle iron clip on and off. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Change it up. Don't just keep the same bait on. Change it up colors, change up size, change it up, because if it didn't work for the first hour, why do you think it's going to work for the next hour?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Change the bait, change the size.
100%. 100%. So you mentioned, it's always good to change things up. Talking about color here for a second, what do you sort of look for when you're going to throw something a little brighter, a little more muted and natural, like your pearl blue glimmer, versus something brighter like maybe your sexy mackerel or your sexy mullet?
Water quality, clear, stained, has a ton to do with color, but it also has a lot to do with your confidence in yourself. So like, I was a pearl all day, every day. Pearl or chartreuse, I didn't care about any other colors. And then LJ taught me one time that there's scales on fish, and scales come off on those bunkers all the time. So that glitter to him meant the scales. And then I was trolling in my kayak up in Raritan Bay, nothing to do with Chesapeake, but this will pertain to it. I had pearl on, and I had pearl blue glimmer after he told me that, and pearl blue glimmer was 3 to 1 on that day. And I was a believer ever since in different colors.
100%.
And whether it worked or not, I don't care, because my confidence is now in this color over pearl, and this is my favorite color, hands down.
Absolutely. A lot of people, again, come in and ask, they say, you know, what color should I get? I usually say in the bay, you have a pearl and a chartreuse, and then you can sort of go off of that. So whether it's like your beer run like that with the flake in it, or like your pearl blue glimmer, those are sort of like your white tone. And then if you wanted to go with a chartreuse, something like your sexy mackerel or your sexy mullet, it has those sparkles in it.
100%.
So when you're out there on the water, say you're throwing a pearl blue glimmer, and it is, I guess, the quote unquote right conditions for it. Maybe you have pretty clean water, cloudy day. When would you decide that it's time to switch to a different color, try something else, if the conditions haven't changed?
If the conditions haven't changed, just spots, right? Like if you're going in the back of a creek where there's runoff, right? Or you have an outgoing tide that's bringing that tide of the mud, the mud tide coming in, that's when you want something brighter. If you're fishing deeper, right? Color fades as you get deeper. You want to make sure if you're fishing in that 30 plus range, you want to start you're going towards that chartreuse. But if you don't want it to be as outstanding as this one is, that's when you'd want to go to like sexy mullet.
For sure.
And I just want to get this out here. Slam Shady is a sleeper of a color.
Oh yeah.
It's a sleeper. That one in Beer Run, stained water Beer Run all day.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, like you were saying, those little sparkles and flakes and things like that in there. A lot of people say, you know, sometimes the lure is designed to catch the angler and not the fish, and that is true in some cases. But something that Z-Man does with these flakes, it makes a difference in the fish that you catch. 100%.
Absolutely.
So moving on from color and profile here, I know with this Elastec material, it can get a little funny with the rigging of them sometimes. It's not just like rigging a normal soft bait. So let's get into some rigging tips here, show people really the easiest way to get these Elastec baits onto a jig head.
Just want to show you guys some rigging tricks on Z-Man, because this is not like normal plastic. It is Elastec, so you cannot break it whatsoever. So just you could be extremely hard on these baits when rigging. So when you do rig it, you want to put it in, make sure it's straight, figure out where it's going to come out, and you just want to make sure, again, the straighter it is, the better it'll swim. And most plastics you would have to be pretty gentle on this, but with Elastec, make sure you really get it on there. This is where, when you have the bait, you want to take, best glue you could possibly use is this Loctite. Make sure it's the gel. The gel is so much more controlled than anything liquid, and it dries in 30 seconds. You just want to get it up in there and just squeeze this, and just a couple of dabs, and you will not have a problem with that staying on whatsoever. Hook size has a lot to do with what bait you're going to use. So this is a diesel minnow. This is a 6-aught hook. Make sure you're using that on your 5-inch. And then we have an 8-aught hook diesel minnow. Those go for your 7-inch. We do not really have a size just because the 6-inch diesel minnows are new, but we'll have a different size for that soon. But again, when you're rigging it, make sure it's straight. I'm going to show you, this one is going to go upside down. So you want to do this mostly on your bigger baits, on your 7-inch. But again, it's Elastec, so you can be very, and this is going to go upside down. So the reason you do it upside down is you have so much more action in this tail when it's swimming. So this boot tail will move this much in the water, instead of when you rig it right side up, you only have this much action into your bait. But again, same thing here. You just want to put a little bit of dab right under here, and then you are good to go for the whole day. You want to rig these up and then put them right in your box. Just make sure you are taking Z-Man plastic and not putting it with any plastisol, other plastics, or it will melt. Chemical reaction will melt this actual Z-Man. Then we have the rattlesnaker, just another sleeper item. You put this, just noise, right? Fish can see and hear. So take this rattle, put it right in here, You want to stick this right, just like that. And you're going to take this and plunge it in there. Right? That's what the fish is going to key in on. So that rattle on super muddy, murky days, that rattle will be a game changer in you catching more fish for sure.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for our last seminar in our Light Tackle Marathon. Big thank you to you, Frank.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
This was great.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming by, talking about Zman, because I know that is a big and popular brand here on the Bay. People always want to know about it. So remember, guys, tomorrow, our Light Tackle sales event. Make sure you come by. Discounts on all the stuff you saw here today and in all of our seminars so far. Parking lot party, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you guys come on by, and we hope to see you there.